Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2016 Chevy Corvette Z06. Up front is a 6.2 liter supercharged V8 and down below is a 7-speed manual transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this here Z06 for a couple of reasons. Mainly the fact that it's supercharged, it's a V8, it's a 7-speed manual, and I haven't driven something quite like this yet. I did do a first year Grand Sport C7 Corvette and I liked it. It was a nice fun cruiser, but I have a creeping suspicion that this might be a little bit different. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, ZachPradel.com, where you can buy stickers like this retro sticker pack or big friggin' bottle sticker, both with free shipping. You could also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form. And you could read my behind the scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to that 6.2 liter V8 under the hood. Well, like I said, it is supercharged with a 1.7 liter supercharger. That's bigger than my Mazda RX-7's engine, and that's just to suck more air into this behemoth of a V8. So with that being said, the Z06 makes 650 horsepower, which is bonkers. And I mean, how can you really go wrong with a power number like that? You can't. You just can't. That's a genuine reaction. I know some people are like, why did he wait a second to react? That's because I was just gathering my thoughts. Wow. Oh, this thing goes. It goes and goes and goes and goes. The one thing, however, I will say, well, first of all, it's incredibly fun. Oh. Stops too, geez. Before we talk about other stuff, here's a cold start video in case your ears haven't bled yet today. Like I said, paired to its 7-speed manual transmission. Very, very interesting here in the Corvette. It's so many gears. Now, the 7th gear is really just for emission standards and cruising on the highway. It's extremely, extremely tall, and so you don't really use it all that much. However, it's just crazy to see the shift pattern go all the way up to 7. It might as well be Spinal Tap going to 11. Last but not least, of course, the C7 Corvette is rear-wheel drive. With that out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a digital screen as well as physical gauges. On the left, I have my speedometer that goes all the way up to 220 miles an hour. You don't see that often in cars, so it's cool to see it here. Off to the right, I have my fuel and my supercharger PSI. Very, very cool feature here in the Z06. But in the center, I do get a digital screen. This is very much in the same vein as a lot of other GM products of the time. Cadillac uses a screen like this. However, I do get some special features for the Corvette itself, and you do get a little image of a Corvette when you switch it around and do other options like I'm showing here. I am a big, big fan of it, and I think it helps the C7 still feel semi-modern, even though it's 6 years old at this point. On the steering wheel, on the left, I have my cruise control options, and on the right, I have my selectors for that center screen, as well as volume and things like that. I also do have rev match paddles on the back of the steering wheel, so I could turn rev matching on and off. And auto rev matching is one of the coolest features of any car. I absolutely love it. I also do get a little Z06 badge down at the bottom of the steering wheel, which is fantastic. And the overall look and feel of the steering wheel, very, very sporty, still very late 2010s, at least in design, and I would say it is a little bit dated at this point, but not terribly. Off to the left, I do have my mirror adjustments, as well as I have my heads-up display settings. So I do have a heads-up display here in the C7, and I absolutely love it. I can customize it if I'd like. It just gives me some nice information to play with. On the door, I have my lock and unlock, a Bose speaker, as well as my window switches for the power windows. Moving into the center, I do have my hazard switch as well as we have the infotainment screen. I'm not gonna harp on this for too long. It's pretty basic here. I do have like OnStar and things like that. However, it is very functional, but it does have a slight party piece. So off to the left, there's this screen button, and you can actually raise the screen in order to put things behind it. I think that that's pretty neat. Then I do get my physical radio controls, and we do get our climate controls down below that. So temperature off to the left, fan speed off to the right, and then all the different settings. I don't get dual zone climate here in the C7 Z06. Actually, a slight correction, the C7 does have dual zone climate, and it's actually controlled on the passenger's climate control vent all the way off to the right. I couldn't even see it on my first look through of the vehicle. Kind of an interesting placement in the C7 Z06. Then I do get a sweet little Z06 badge down at the bottom, a hidden 12-volt outlet, and then we have the shifter off to the left. Now, this is not the factory shift knob. However, it still does say Corvette, and it has the 7-speed, the largest H pattern I've seen in a passenger vehicle, which is just really fun. And this car does have a short throw shifter, which is by far the shortest throw I have ever felt in a car. So not that it would pertain to every Z06, but this one is just very interesting. Then I get my drive modes down below. So I can turn traction control off on the button if that's something I'd like to do, but I do not feel like buying my friend a new Corvette today. But I do have some other drive modes. So all the way down at the bottom, we have weather, then we have eco, tour, sport, and then track. Of course, those drive modes get more and more aggressive the higher you go in them, with track being the most aggressive, the most balls to the wall mode you can do. And so I will not be using that one today. Then I do have my power parking brake, and then off to the right, I do have cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the C7 Corvette Z06. And as I expected with most sports cars, and the C8 and the C6 both failed as well, the C7 Z06 fails the big friggin' bottle test. Then I do get a center console, and then we'll talk about the seats. The seats are Z06 specific. They are a lot sportier than what you would find in the lower trims or the Grand Sports, and you definitely notice just how driver-oriented they are. Now, I'm a big guy, and I actually still fit in them, which is hard to say with a lot of bucket seats, but they're this beautiful blend of comfort and sport-orientedness, which is just really fantastic to be in and sit in. I'm really pleasantly enjoying these. However, we don't have back seats in the C7 Corvette, but we do have a trunk, so let's hop around back and take a look at that. All right, so around the back of the C7 Z06, you press and hold here on the key fob, and it will pop it up a little bit, and then you just finish it the rest of the way. This does have Grand Sport carpeting. Obviously, it is not a Grand Sport, but you do get a fair amount of space back here, which is really nice. Mike keeps his detailing equipment back here, keeps it looking fresh and nice, especially for track days and things like that. So tons of space back here. I don't get any like crazy amenities. However, that Targa top, which we'll talk about in a second, the Targa top actually goes back here quite nicely, which is really sweet. Now we got to talk about the looks, and I really think that this is a very handsome Corvette. I think I like it better than the C8. I think the C8 looks cool and good, but I think this just looks the best. I like the big headlights. This does have the ZR1 front bumper put onto it. I should have mentioned that at the top of the video. But this does have a ZR1 front bumper because it has a lot better airflow. The Z06 front bumper from factory had additional airflow channels, had almost no radiator grill at all, but it still wasn't quite enough. These cars suffer from heat soak quite a bit, so the owner Mike actually put on the ZR1 front bumper, and now it stays nice and ice cold. But I think it's proportioned really well, and when I think of a Corvette, this is kind of what enters my mind. Maybe a C6 because I grew up around them, but this is really something fantastic. Something else interesting about the Corvette C7 also is that it does have a Targa top, part of the Z06 package, so you can remove this carbon fiber panel on top of the car to make it an open top experience, which is fantastic. But now let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think finally driving a C7 Z06? Well, I'd like to draw a comparison real quick, if I may, to hot sauce. For this analogy, sports cars in general will be the chicken. will be the pasta, whatever you're putting the hot sauce on, that's the food. And so when you buy a Corvette, even that Grand Sport C7 that I drove, that's like adding a little bit of sriracha. It's a little bit nicer, a little bit more powerful, a little bit more here and a little bit more there than your standard sports car. But then you bump it up to the Z06. And this is where people start to bow out. This is where taste buds start to get fried. This is where you might start thinking about your stomach the next day, the next week, or God forbid, the next month. This isn't quite the one-chip challenge. This isn't the Ghost Reaper. I assume the ZR1 would be that way. But this is not for the frail of heart. This is not for the weaklings. This car is not meant for your Sunday cruises down to the Five and Dime to get an ice cream like the Grand Sport was so good at doing. Had a big comfy V8, had comfy seats, all the amenities you could want. This car, this Corvette, is not a one-size-fits-all. It's a one-size-fits whoever has the guts, whoever has the slightly off their rocker mindset, because this car is fantastic. It's aggressive, it's poignant, it's pissed off at you, but it'll also shake your hand and slap you on the back of your neck. It's just this visceral experience. That supercharger whine, it's not the loudest I've heard, but it's there. It's in the background and it's still yelling at me. And it's ready to pounce at the drop of a hat. That's the cool thing, is that I've been driving around this car in tour mode because I've been talking about the interior and the seats and blah, blah, blah. And it's been quiet. You've been able to hear me pretty easily. But then, let me just give it a tap. Oh yeah, it'll bark. It'll bark right away. It doesn't even have to think about it. That's what I love. You drive this car with your finger on the trigger, which, let me be clear, is just for the sake of this argument and should never ever be practiced with a firearm. But right now, my foot is just hovering on that go button. Anytime I want it, I can have it. That's what I love about this car. I really feel like this might be one of the best Corvette experiences I've had, because I'm rowing my own gears, I'm getting that supercharger whine, but I'm also still comfortable, like GM cars are so good at doing. I also still have decently modern tech in here. I can talk to you guys normally and just cruise, just have a good time. It's not quite the best of both worlds, but it might be one of the best in the world, and that's pretty dang good. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to my good friend Mike, who let me take this car out. I've reviewed his cars over the last several years. He's been an awesome advocate and help to the channel. He's just an awesome dude. He actually does track this car. That's what I love about Mike, is that he actually tracks his vehicles like they were intended to do, and that is super cool. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.